All right, guys, Liberty Underground Show. Here with Jim Babka from downsizedc.org, but now the Zero Aggression Project as well. Jim, what were you doing here in Tampa?
It was the end of a 3-city tour here in Florida, my debut or maiden tour to introduce the brand new Zero Aggression Project to libertarians.
Now, what is the Zero Aggression Project? I know a lot of libertarians know about the Zero Aggression principle, but you took the principle itself and really kind of expanded it. How did you expand it?
Well, what we're doing is we're looking to provide tools that people can use, libertarians, to share these ideas, to avoid getting into a debate about it, and more just to plant the seeds all over the place. We want everyone in the entire world to know about the Zero Aggression principle. And
I thought that one of the really, really powerful things that you did talk about tonight was the person that plants the seed isn't always the other person, and that if you have that knowledge going into it, I think it makes it a much easier discussion and also can show victory in a much better way. Can you kind of explain why the seed planter is so vitally important, but at the same time, you may not be the person that reaps that?
Yeah, you don't change anyone else's mind. Their mind belongs to them. We understand as libertarians it's their body, well, it's also their mind. And so they change their own mind, and they're going to do it on their own time. And you don't know when that's going to happen. So you may be the person that comes along and plants the seed of the idea, and other people may come along and they may weed or they may water, and someone else may come along to get the harvest. I actually said here tonight in my talk, I use an idea from my partner Perry Willis of the mental depth charge. The idea that they could just be sitting there watching television one night, years after you initially planted the idea, and other people came along and shared and helped reinforce that idea, and that idea may just go off in their mind. They're sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden the words that you said to them are the words that they spoke back as they saw that news report. Now they're starting to think like you. But it was a process, and it didn't happen all at once, and we need to have an understanding. We need to have an expectation that's realistic, otherwise it's very easy to get discouraged. So I want people to understand this is a process, and we have to plant the seed, and we have to keep sharing it again and again and again. And they need to hear it more than once. They need to hear it from more than one person. They need social proof before they're really going to seriously consider the ideas. So reasonable expectations and constantly doing what we need to do here and sharing it, because you just never know when it's going to come to fruition.
Yeah, no, and I thought that I really thought that the speech tonight was a very powerful speech, and one that libertarians do want to be able to, that need to hear more of, especially when you were talking about how, we need more libertarians.
Yes.
But it seems that the Zero Aggression Project, what it does is that it lets people get there kind of on their own pace a little bit. Like it's not overwhelming, but by the time they're finished with it and they go through it, then they will be much more apt to get involved in things on a local level, because they will, like you said, things will start to snap and start to pop in their heads. That's kind of the goal of the Zero Aggression Project, correct?
Yes, we really want to build a persuasion and recruitment machine. Our objective here is to get people, so many libertarians together, that virtually anything that we're looking to try to do right now, the difficult stuff like trying to get people elected, the maybe slightly less difficult stuff of stopping bad legislation or putting an initiative on the ballot, and maybe even just simply hanging a jury in many cases, so that the laws that shouldn't be enforced or shouldn't have been on the books in the first place won't get enforced, and they'll just go away, because all power rests with the consent of the governed. But to do that, you have to have people who understand, not just in their head, but also in their heart and in their gut, that it is wrong to initiate force against other persons, that I don't have the right to bully you to get what I want or to make social change, and I certainly don't have the ability then to give that to my neighbor or my most elite neighbor, to give him the power to initiate force against you. And once we get people to understand that, we can begin to have traumatic social change on all levels.
Yeah, well, and I thought that another very powerful thing in the speech that you gave tonight was talking about jury nullification, of how taking these ideas and putting them out there will give an individual the ability to make a massive difference with another individual at the time frame in which they needed them the most to be able to do that. Can you kind of explain that third part of it and why jury nullification is such an important part of what you're doing?
Well, the way that we kind of laid everything out tonight, and if people who want to see the speech, we are going to make it available for people to see. The way we laid that out, my main goal, Alex, was really to show that we don't need to have a majority where we elect people to office in order to make dramatic social change. That it would be possible with far fewer people to make social change there in the jury box. That if there were enough of us who would hang juries, and we were talking a very small number in comparison to what we would need to win an election, that we could get massive social change that way. And so that's why we brought up that specific tactic of jury nullification. information. And you're right. This is at a moment when someone is really in need. Someone is really in trouble, and their entire life could be on the line for a law that shouldn't have been on the books in the first place. It's not truly a law in the natural law sense. It's not. There is nobody who can actually claim individual harm and can say, I was harmed in the following fashion, and I'm now owed the following recompense. These are crimes that have been invented largely so that one side can use its force against the other. Both parties have only one thing that they're selling, and that is a jackboot, a billy club, and a machine gun. Every one of the wonderful things that they want to do, whether it's the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, whether it's conservative or progressive, right status, left status, they're selling the same thing. They're saying that we have a shortcut. We don't have to persuade anybody. We don't have to get anybody to agree. We don't have to try to marshal better arguments. We can use the force of the state to get people to do what we want. And we're saying that's it doesn't work. It's inefficient. It's clumsy, and it harms innocent people. And it's expensive, and we should stop it. But we're saying something more than that. We're saying that it is immoral, and we want people to see the victims of it. We want them to see the actual cost in real lives. We want people to realize and feel that pain. And there's a reason we want that, because most people, when they look in the mirror, Alex, they want to believe they're a good person. And they want, more importantly, for you to think that they're a good person. And are they really a good person if they believe that in order to, raise wages, we should throw people in jail who would resist? Or, we were going to do some wonderful program, and there's some people say, I don't want to pay the tax for that or the fee for that. We're going to throw them in jail. And if they resist, we're going to take their life. We need to make sure that that whole cost, that entire calculation's on the table. It's not overlooked. It can't be ignored any longer. That's our unique job as libertarians.
No, I thought it was really good. I think you framed it very, very well, actually. As a person that goes out and gives speeches, for somebody that you kept me enthralled the whole time, so it was really cool. I felt like a kid again. So that was kind of fun.
Good.
If people want more information about Downsize DC, but more importantly the Zero Aggression Project, where can they go on the internet to find it?
It's zeroaggressionproject.org. That's zeroaggressionproject.org. We also have downsizedc.org, but they can go to either one of these websites, and we are applying some of these zero aggression principles at downsizedc.org. And let me say this, I want to have libertarians adopt these ideas. Our first audience that we need to reach is libertarians. I would like to even change how libertarians communicate our ideas. And much of what I spoke about tonight was that idea. The first stage of the Zero Aggression Project really is an outreach and a persuasion effort, a new type of dialogue that we want to introduce to libertarians that they can begin having with other people. And the tools that we provided at that site help facilitate this new type of dialogue. So I encourage people to come and check out things like our mental levers, for example, at the Zero Aggression Project. That's zeroaggressionproject.org.
Okay, great. And you'll have it as a link on the bottom of this video as well. Jim, thank you very much. I really do appreciate you coming down to Tampa. It's kind of fun to being down here in the land of, sun and, and elderly. So it's always a good time.
It's a great time. I love being in Florida.